Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you in for this once-in-a-lifetime experience as we get set to bring you the BWE's season finale, in which the Masked Marvel has agreed to face the Nightmare in a boxing match on today's premier live event, which our general manager has decided to call the Boxing Day Boxing Special. Ironically, these two were actually successful partners a season ago, but all that has changed this season as the two men have found themselves on opposing sides all season long, and I suppose one might say that things reached a boiling point a couple of weeks ago when the Nightmare chose to unplug our beloved French snowman Bombinage, for which he has been utterly unapologetic. We had requested a sit-down with the Nightmare to allow him the opportunity to explain his actions, and while he did not take us up on that offer, he did provide us with this video.
It has become clear that some of you out there still don't fully comprehend my motivations. This organization would have you believe that I am the villain, when in reality, I am its savior. Earlier this year, I interrupted Sven's bully party to help a man facing 3 opponents in a handicap match. For that, I was treated like the outlaw. And yet, a week later, when the Masked Marvel did the same and cost me a victory against Finn and Clay, he was cheered for altering the outcome of a fair fight. That's when I came to a realization. To kill a weed, you must get down to its roots. That's why I chose to change my focus and eliminate the posse surrounding this corrupt general manager, starting with the worst of them all. His debut marked a dark day for the BWF, as his existence doubled the French population on this show, while providing the most comically terrible match the backyard wrestling world had ever seen. His wedding got more dislikes than every other video on this YouTube channel, and his participation in the season finale was completely undeserved. This league deserves a better class of wrestlers. I spared its fans from another awful match with him in it. I accept that as retribution for my actions, I will face a man whose only fault has been aligning himself with this class of underwhelming talent. It's time for a change. Today, I will show the Masked Marvel the folly of his ways and return this once great superstar to his former glory. The bell tolls for 1. Masked Marvel, your time has come.
I'm now pleased to bring in our very own General Manager, Swedish Sven, to provide more context for today's fight. Swedish Sven, first off, Boxing Day Boxing Special. Sort of implies that this event is taking place on Boxing Day.
Yep. I can certainly see why that might be the case.
Sven, I hate to break it to you, but depending on how you look at it, it's either far too early or well past December 26th.
Right. Well, Drobit, the 2020 Euro Cup was actually played an entire year later in 2021, and I didn't see anyone complaining about that. So I figured if they could do it, what was the big deal about hosting a Boxing Day event in the middle of May? But you gotta admit, Boxing Day Boxing Special sounds pretty freaking awesome.
I will admit that that would be quite clever marketing on your part if it were, in fact, Boxing Day. But I digress. Sven, this is a boxing match taking place in a backyard wrestling league. What exactly can we expect here today?
Well, you can expect a boxing match there, Drobit.
Yes, okay, but boxing match kind of implies 12 rounds of two men trying to knock each other out.
Well, we're not going 12 rounds because that would, quite frankly, be way too long. And, we learned our lesson with the shoveling the driveway match. So that's not happening. But I can guarantee you that these two guys will definitely be trying to knock each other out here today.
Yes, of course, but, well, is that the only way that one will be able to win a boxing match here today, or will there perhaps be other wrestling rules that might also apply?
I don't really see where you're going with this, Drobit. I mean, isn't the point of every wrestling match to try and knock out your opponent?
Well, it is, but with all due respect, Sven, that doesn't exactly answer my question.
Oh, shoot,
here.
Sorry, Drobit. You know what? Turns out that's all the time I've got. I really gotta get going and start this PLE, bud.
Oh, wait, well, I tried, folks. The Boxing Day boxing special, not on an actual Boxing Day, is coming up next.
Can I help you? Are you Mr. Cricket? Yeah. Who are you? The name's Ricky T. Bridges, and if you want your voice to be heard, for justice to be served, you know what to do. You mind telling me about your side hustle here, Mr. Cricket? You mean my Etsy store? What about it? Well, Mr. Cricket, it would appear you're selling some graphics that might conflict with basic copyright law. Really? I had no idea what I was doing might be illegal, I swear. Don't try and play dumb with me, Mr. Cricket. Your friend already spilled the whole can of beans.
I'm sorry, buddy. I had to tell him. I had to. He was eating me up inside. They were onto the scam from the very beginning.
You're in very serious trouble, Mr. Cricket. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm just a front guy. I didn't even create the fonts that I used. The font guys, they're the ones that you want. I've heard enough. Mr. Cricket, you're coming with me.
Cricket!
If you, or someone you know, has recently started an Etsy store selling graphics or logos that are already the property of major businesses and corporations in an attempt to profit off of their trademark property, I want to hear from you. Call me, Ricky T. Bridges, and I'll put an end to this fraud and shut down his facade. A-hee. Call now!
And with that message from our longtime friend and sponsor out of the way, we turn our attention to the main event of this Boxing Day boxing special premiere live event, where we currently see the Nightmare making his way out to the ring for this modified fight. For the Nightmare, today will mark his first ever appearance in a PLE, while also having only competed in 3 official matches in his career thus far, and of those matches, he has won only once, if you can believe it. On the other side, we have this man right here, who enters today's show with a much different story. The Mass Marvel has participated in the last 3 pay-per-view events this organization has performed, and he boasted the other day how he is undefeated in those matches. The Nightmare, however, was quick to point out that those were in fact pay-per-views and not premier live events, which we all know are completely different things. Nonetheless, I believe that both of these men will be looking for a victory here today, and it'll be interesting to see how the rules of this boxing match play out in the favor of one of these two competitors. By the way, I still have absolutely no idea what the actual rules are, as the Mass Marvel went for the first punch, and now he does land one, a body shot there, a jab to the stomach, and then the uppercut from the Nightmare, and now the Mass Marvel comes back, applying the headlock to the Nightmare as he lands multiple blows to the face. The Mass Marvel unleashing a flurry of punches to the top of the Nightmare's head as he has the Nightmare pinned in that corner. Now he finally releases him, my word. What a start from the Mass Marvel. The Nightmare is still recovering in that corner following that beatdown as... Hold on a second. You gotta be absolutely wanking me. Those are boxes. The Mass Marvel just tossed a mattress box into the ring. It would appear that the definition of a boxing match as it pertains to BWE standards now involves the use of boxes, and quite frankly, I'm a little disappointed in myself that I did not see it coming. Oh, look at this now as the Mass Marvel has stuffed the diaper box over the Nightmare's head while he whacks off multiple times trying to finish him off. Well, this has certainly not been the start which the Nightmare was hoping for, I'm sure, as it has been all Mass Marvel in the early stages of this fight. Mass Marvel was looking to drop kick that box into the Nightmare there, but the execution was significantly less than perfect. Oh my! Oh, the Nightmare drives that box right into the midsection of the Mass Marvel, and down he goes for only the first time here today. Nightmare goes to grab another box outside the ring, but the Mass Marvel is back to his feet, and look out now! Oh, my word. Well, I hardly think that's what the Mass Marvel was trying to do, as perhaps we should take another look at this non-highlight on the replay, and if I'm not mistaken, it appears as though the Mass Marvel was trying to vault himself off that mattress box to hit a poetry in motion. However, he severely underestimated the structural stability of that box, which absolutely folded like a box being crushed under the weight of a full-grown man. Nightmare's meanwhile taking advantage of the opportunity afforded to him following that mishap from the Mass Marvel, now changing tactics as he has decided that these boxes might also be used as projectile objects, flinging multiple boxes in the direction of the Mass Marvel. He gets back to his feet and smashes the Nightmare over the head once again, using his favorite weapon thus far, that being the Huggies diaper box. Mass Marvel now setting up that decrepit mattress box in the near side corner right in front of our cameraman. Now going back after the Nightmare, the Mass Marvel is going to toss his opponent into the corner. Look out now! Oh! Now the Mass Marvel comes crashing into the Nightmare, sandwiching him against that flimsy board of brown paper. Mass Marvel now comes over holding that Amazon box as he hands it to the Nightmare and now delivers the leg drop right on top of that Amazon box. Another box placed on the Nightmare, and oh goodness me! Oh, that was a double-legged leg drop from the Nightmare, my word! Let's take another look at that gorgeous sequence, shall we? It all started when the Mass Marvel turned the Nightmare into the ground beef of his box sandwich. Then he delivered that Amazon package with an extra kick and finally finished with this perfectly executed double-legged drop kick. Oh, that was bloody metal! Back to the action here as the Mass Marvel lifts the Nightmare back to his feet and moves him to the middle of the ring where the Nightmare collapses back down, showing very little resistance. Mass Marvel rather lethargically slaps away at him with that extra large pizza box before tossing it aside, and it would appear as though he has his eyes set on a much larger box, tossing that one onto the Nightmare, and it looks like the Mass Marvel has his sights set on taking flight. Oh, that diving headbutt from the Mass Marvel lands just inches short of the intended target, and no one in the BWE fandom will mistaken the Mass Marvel for a high flyer. I'm sure that some old BWF fans out there will recall the Kalani fence fiasco of '06. Meanwhile, the Nightmare is back to his feet, tosses a box. Oh, did you see that, folks? Well, the Nightmare just caught the Mass Marvel right on the kisser with that wicked toss, which has stunned the Mass Marvel. Well, I really wish we'd have gotten a replay there, but nonetheless, the Nightmare appears to have found himself something long and hard here as he smashes the Mass Marvel once again, spinning himself around like a weed whipper, now giving the Mass Marvel a real taste of his length at the moment, my word. Nightmare now finds something with a bit more girth to it as he's going to drive it right into the Mass Marvel's head, leaving him in a daze of confusion. Now he thrusts the Mass Marvel's face right down on it. Good grief. Well, the momentum of this match appears to have flipped here, if only for the moment, as it is now the Nightmare who is dishing out the pain as opposed to receiving it, and perhaps noticing exactly the same thing. The Mass Marvel has smartly retreated outside the ring. Oh, look out now. And Mass Marvel has found himself a rather large TV box, which has contributed to the ever-growing pile of boxes in the ring. Mass Marvel now looks as though he might be setting up that, I believe it's a printer box, likely from one of his many broken printers that he still holds on to. Oh, look out now as the Mass Marvel menacingly backs the Nightmare into the right side corner, now tossing the Nightmare towards the near left corner, but that printer box falls away before they can get there. And I suppose that's what happens when you have an amateur-built wrestling ring. Mass Marvel settles for a flurry of punches to the midsection of the Nightmare there. Now reaching for that printer box once again. Mass Marvel taps the Nightmare on the head with it before setting it up once more in the corner. Now grabbing the Nightmare's head, and oh my! Mass Marvel smashing his opponent's face right off of that cannon printer box. Well, I have to admit that I've suddenly become a bit distracted by the sheer volume of boxes which are making their way into the ring here, and I just can't help but wonder if someone has been keeping a pile of large boxes stored in the garage simply for a quick gag such as this. I don't know. It looks like the Nightmare's back to his feet here, though, and oh no! Oh, he's got the Masked Marvel by surprise, and he goes, oh, it's a choke slam! The choke slam from the Nightmare sends the Masked Marvel crashing down on that large TV box, and could that be enough to seal the victory here for the Nightmare? But no! Oh my word! The Masked Marvel able to kick out at the very last second, and I really thought that was the end, folks. By all accounts, it really should have been, but I suppose that we'll keep going here. Nightmare now violently attacking his opponent multiple times with that pizza box, making contact with the Masked Marvel's backside. Nightmare now grabs the big TV box, and it looks like he wants to stand up in that corner over there on that far side as the Masked Marvel slowly makes his way back to his feet here. Now the Nightmare grabbing the Masked Marvel, he tosses him into the corner onto that box, going right after him as he applies a few slaps right to the chest area of the battered and bruised Masked Marvel, who is completely motionless on that box in the corner. Could this be the end of the Masked Marvel right here? Oh no! Oh, the Masked Marvel! He ducked out of the way just in time as the Nightmare came rushing in to finish him off. The Masked Marvel looks absolutely gassed as he collapses now in the middle of the ring, and that'll give us a chance to look at some of these replays right here. As at first it was the Nightmare rushing in, and it looked as though he was going to finish him off with that blow, but earlier on in this match, this one right here really should have been the end, folks, as the Nightmare slammed him down with that powerful chokeslam right on top of that pile of boxes that the Masked Marvel had created for himself. Looks as though the Masked Marvel is doing a little box maintenance here as he tosses a few of these damaged boxes outside of the ring, and now it looks as though he's actually going to go after some fresh boxes on the outside that have been stacked over there as well. My word, they just keep on coming here, folks. Meanwhile, the Nightmare's back to his feet. The Masked Marvel ducks underneath, and wasn't even an attack there that time, as now he pounds on the head of the Nightmare with that Belgian moon box. Now the Masked Marvel, what will he do here as he sets up another box along the ringside? Oh, and the smash along the head of the Masked Marvel applied that time from the Nightmare, and another box right over the top as well, for good measure. Now the Masked Marvel jabbing that pizza box right into the midsection of the Nightmare. What's he gonna do here as he sets him up? Maybe trying to bash his head off of that box once again. Now he's just gonna bash him over the head a couple times on the backside. Now the Masked Marvel tossing the Nightmare down onto the ground in the middle of the ring. Masked Marvel looking to build a little momentum here. We really haven't seen a whole lot from him since he took that tossed box off the chin earlier, but it looks like he might want to take flight. Never mind. Masked Marvel realizing the Nightmare had popped back up, thinks better of putting himself in a compromising position, but as he re-enters the ring, Nightmare pops him on the hip with another box. Now the Nightmare brings that printer box back into play here, as it seems as though he might be trying to set up another finishing move of sorts, as he has stacked that kid's toy box on top as well. Now, moving over to grab the Masked Marvel. Nightmare tosses him into the left corner. Masked Marvel looks a little woozy, and the Nightmare, ow! Oh, driving that face right into that stack of boxes, my word! The Masked Marvel may very well be concussed as he lays motionless in the ring. Once again, the Nightmare appears to be setting up yet another carefully stacked pile of the boxes which have accumulated inside the ring. Masked Marvel, meanwhile, still has yet to move, and I'm beginning to worry for the safety of our beloved superstars. The Nightmare now is going to toss that large box into the ring, and shockingly, the Masked Marvel has started to make his way back to his feet now, tossing that printer box into the Nightmare's leg area. Now the Irish Whip off of the ropes. As the Nightmare comes back, he's going to dodge out of the way of the attack of the Masked Marvel, though. Now Nightmare has him in his clutches. Could this be? It's a choke slam! Choke slam! Oh my! The Nightmare has delivered a second finisher, once again sending the Masked Marvel crashing through their pile of boxes in the ring, and could it be the finishing blow? Here is the pin! It's over! It's over! The Nightmare has defeated the Masked Marvel, putting an end to the undefeated streak and dashing any hopes that the Masked Marvel may have had at avenging the death of Bombardage. Taking a look at the final blow which certainly finished this match, I can't help but think back to this moment right here when the Nightmare caught Mass Marvel with the edge of that box. Up till that point, it had been all Mass Marvel, and subsequently, following that attack, the Mass Marvel was never able to recover and get himself going again in this match. Well, that will do it for us this season. I hope you've enjoyed our show. On behalf of the BWE, this is Gilbert, signing off.